Whoa, whoa, whoa. Welcome. I have my notes. It's basically just everyone I've fought, the dates, no matter if I've won or lost. So today's video is just gonna go over my experience fighting everything or everyone who I've fought and the time frames. So my first fight was the 7th of the 4th, which is April, 7th of April 2019. That was when I made my debut at amateur. I was probably 2019. I think I've been at MMA 6 or 7 years. So what would that bring? 2018, 2017, 2018. In the round that I must have started. Um, when I started, it was very inconsistent though, just because I was at uni down in Derry, so I travelled back and forward, and yeah, it just meant training wasn't consistent down there. Down there, I didn't do no MMA either. I did go to Team Evolve once, but the session was it was like a fitness session. It was an MMA class I went to. It was like a fitness class, and they pushed fitness loads, and I wanted to learn technique and how to get better. Even though fitness plays a massive part, I just wanted to really learn at that stage. So, but he was pushing fitness loads, so I didn't really enjoy that. So just really trained weights, and then I should have actually checked when Kieran Mulholland fought. So I think like 2 or 3 weeks before my debut, my amateur debut, Kieran fought over in Preston, I'm near sure, and he took that fight. It was like 2 or 3 weeks before, and I was over in Preston with Kieran when I got asked to fight on this. I think it was like 2 weeks out, and Kieran was also fighting on this. Kieran was fighting on this for a belt. Um, so I was training, but it was definitely early stages when I made my debut. But I had some boxing background which stood by me. So I made my debut on the 7th of the 4th, 2019. It was against Adam McInroy. McInroy. Hope I'm saying that right. He is from Paddy Houlihan's gym, and he actually submitted me in the second round. And I can remember it clear day. First round, first round, I felt good. Adrenaline was going and all. It was good. Striking was good. I stayed patient. I stayed patient. I was rushing loads, but for my debut fight, it was all right. First round, I got back to the corner, and I can remember everything. Just like, what would you say? Was it the adrenaline just dropped and everything sunk? It was like everything just got zapped out of me. I can remember going into the second round, he just took me down and he submitted me. And I was like, I can remember I didn't put up much of a fight, and all I can remember is the adrenaline dump at the end of the first round while I was in the corner. I can remember going out, getting submitted, and after I was raging at myself. First of all, because the submission wasn't even. If it was in the gym, I probably wouldn't have tapped to it. Um, and second of all, it was as if I'd shit a brick when the adrenaline all went away and I went out. It was like I felt shaky. So my second fight was 6 months after. It was on the 26th of the 10th, 2019, against Corey McLaughlin. It was supposed to be against someone else, someone called Dave. And on the day of the weigh-ins, Corey McLaughlin actually stepped up. I think this was his uh, amateur debut against me, and yeah, it was a boring fight, to be honest with you. Corey striking was clean. He hit like a horse, so I went out and took him down. Probably one of the most boring fights that I've experienced. But during that time, I came off a loss to Adam, and I had trained wrestling so much because I could take him down and submit it so easy in the second round that second fight, the plan actually, not that the plan was to wrestle, but I wanted to go out and just show that my wrestling had improved. It was also against Corey, who was very good striking at the time, so it was probably the best game plan to go out and wrestle against him. But I won against Corey. The next fight after that was Pierce Nash. I took this on 3 days' notice, which was the 7th of the 3rd, 2020. Um, yeah, took this on 3 days' notice. It was I think it was 3 days before weighing, or 3 days before the fight. It would have been, so 2 days before weighing. And I can remember being in work that morning. I seen it on Instagram. I was training out of, it was PHK or Titans at the time, and seen it on Instagram. Tax Kieran tax Chandler, I think, and then next thing you know, I was fighting. So it was unreal. Probably short notice fights are probably one of my favourites because you don't really have to think about it, especially at amateur where the record essentially means nothing. So actually, it was a really good experience. He was a clean boxer too. First round, he lit me up. It was actually funny. So it was first round, he lit me up, and then second round, I threw like an overhand right, caught a body lock, come round to the back, and then sweep. It was actually really nice. And the only reason where I done like the wee lift and sweep to take the back is because I was coaching down in Titans at the time, taking beginners, and there was like a wee crowd of us who would help, like not help, but they were always there on a regular basis. They did help. They were on a regular basis too, but I would always there. She went up behind them, picked them up, and scooped them, took the back, and like choked them. But it would have been done as like a joke. But it was just a repetition of me doing that it was so fresh in my head during that time. And then that was how I actually submitted him. The next fight after that was the 12th of the 12th, 2020. So this was the first year of COVID. That Pierce Nash fight, that was literally like 2 weeks before COVID, before everything closed down. Then we couldn't train. Well, I say we couldn't train. We still could train because we had the own gym. We had our own gym. We just couldn't open up the gym, if you know what I mean. But me and Kieran still continued training. 2020. Yeah, the 12th of the 12th, 2020. Yeah, so Kane Tate was my last fight for PHK or Titans at the time. I was just trying to backtrack in my head because it was like COVID. It was like I went to Fight Academy during COVID, but Kane Tate was actually the last fight. I was on the 12th of the 12th, 2020. So that was the year COVID hit, and there wasn't much training, nothing really happening. And them fights was on Clan Wars. That was supposed to be the week before. It got cancelled on the weigh-ins. Then the following week they decided to put it on, and I had to move up a weight, and it was a change of opponent, which was Kane Tate. I won that. I was actually a good fight. Kane Tate was very experienced. He didn't have loads of wins, but he had loads of fights. I had 3 fights in total. I think he had 6. Um, then after that, so it was on the 12th of the 12th, 2020. June 2021, or in January of 2021, I went up the Fight Academy. I'm near sure that's when I went up the Fight Academy. It was at the start of 2021. So how long am I up there now? 21, 22, 23, 24, 3 years. No, right? Yeah, be 21, 22, 23, 24, 3.5 years. Been up the Fight Academy. So my first fight for Fight Academy was Yukov. He went Kane Tate, Yukov, and Adam is all from Paddy Houlihan's gym. 3 people have fought from Paddy Houlihan's. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah. So Yukov was the first fight out of Fight Academy. That was on the 8th of the 12th, 21, and that was during the Fela. That was the first ever outdoor MMA event, I'm near sure, that Shando had put on. Definitely in Ireland and I think UK, but it was unbelievable. So it was what a show. I think the background part of things, I think for Shanda would have been a bit of a change and a wee bit of a nightmare just because everything was different. It wasn't a normal setup, but what an experience and what a time to be able to fight. So Yukov was in the Fela. He was the first opponent that I faced out of Fight Academy, and it was against, or not against, but it was home crowd. It was during the Fela, and it was my first fight out of Fight Academy. So I can actually remember. I don't really get nervous before fights, but I can remember before this one, just thinking to myself like I've been training up here. I was if it would be August, so I was training up in Fight Academy 8 months at the time, and when you go from a gym where the standard of training just isn't there isn't systems. You're still training, you're still learning, but it's just not the way things should happen, if you know what I mean. Then when I went to Fight Academy, everyone was like on the same boat. They were all improving at massive rates. They all picked things up differently, and they all had their own strength and weaknesses. But the coaching was all one, if you know what I mean. Everything filtered in. The striking into the wrestling was all one. The wrestling into the grappling was all one. The grappling, standing back up, everything was systems and sequences, and everything was there for you. So all you had to do was really show up. That was unreal too, because that time was during COVID, and there was a couple of pros up in the gym. There still is pros up in the gym. It's going to be mostly a pro gym soon, I would say. Um, there was a few pros up in the gym. There was Paul, Joe McCogan, Caird McClurkin. I think there was a couple of others at the time. Can't remember off the top of my head, but they were still fighting on Cage Wars, and Fight Academy could still stay open during COVID, which was unreal. So it was like a wee private camp. Um, but I can remember feeling pressure of just wanting to show up for our fight, just because it was my first fight out of Fight Academy. Everyone had done unreal. The atmosphere was class. Backstage was unreal. The whole experience of it was unreal. It was a very long day though, and when I'm fighting, I just want to be in my own wee world. I just want to be myself. We're there, everyone was there. You were watching the fights. The crowd was class. It was a really good experience. So it was, I have to say. But that was Fela, the 12th of the 8th, 21, and then a month later, I took a fight against Callum Connors over in Birmingham. I think it was Manchester, Birmingham. He's from Manchester Top Team. Colin Connors, he's actually pro, I think, now. He's doing very well, pro. So a month later, I took that fight. And the Yoka fight, um, he kicked loads, and he really not really hurt my arms, but he bruised my arms loads, and they were very fragile. So a month later, when I went over, Callum Connors is a Thai fighter, and he just started welting them in. So after them fights, my arms took a beating big time. Callum Connors fight, he was clean, so he was. I think he was just more switched on in terms of trying to knowing what to do to go out there and just get the win. Where I was just there to fight. I didn't really have a game plan. That was probably where this is where I probably started to make the most uh, progress in terms of learning and putting my game together. Because I think when I started competing against the higher level people, the likes of after Yukov, it brought me up to 4-1. And I think Yukov at the time when I fought him, I was 3-1, and he was 2-0. When I won up, it brought me the 4-1, and Callum Connors I think was 3-0 at the time, and he had fought good opponents. So this is when I started to like move up fighting opponents, but I probably could have been smarter and I had done it and my approach to the fights. But it was good learning. Callum Connors he beat me, very close fight. Could have went either way. If you watch it back, it's a good scrap to watch. He hit me loads of knees, and that's probably where he get scored on the knees. But to be honest, the knees actually didn't even do much after the fight. I didn't even feel the knees much. It was actually the arms from the kicks, and I think that was from Yukov the fight before, a month before, kicking the arms clean off me. But all my arms were bruised. Um, Colin was good, more experienced. It was good learning curve. Um, but I lost that. 3 months later, on the 4th of the 12th, 21, I fought Cage Conflict again for title fight against Keith Keogh. Um, and lost that. So within the space of like 4 months, I had 3 fights. Um, lost two, won one. So it was Yoko Fitafela, month later, Callum Connors, and then 3 months later, Keith Keogh. The Keith Keogh fight, that's one I'm probably most disappointed in, to be honest with you. Um, put so much time and effort into that. See training ways. I put so much time into training. Like it was actually it was mad, but it wasn't. It was just training. It wasn't recovery. It wasn't game plan. It wasn't visualizing. It wasn't having goals. It was literally just training and training hard. And that's probably where I went wrong. In that's where I learnt the most, if you know what I mean, in these past couple of fights, especially losses. Um, Keith Keel was good. He still is good. I think he was number one amateur UK and Ireland. I think he was on. Was he unbeaten? No. I think I think he got beat at the IMOFs. Not too sure, but he was number one. He pro now. Um, but very good fight. He's very technical. He was hard to hit. Um, and he had the perfect game plan as well. He clinched me up. He done what he needed to do to get the win, and fair play to him. After Keith Keogh, it was Sam Simon. So this is near a year. So the 15th of the 10th, 22. So near a year after Keith Keogh, it wasn't until I fought again, 10 months, and I think I get injured. This is when injuries started happening, I think. Let me just try to think. I've done my left ankle 3 times. The most recent time is 8 months ago. 8 months ago. So 3 times I've done the ankle, and I think that was one of the first times. was in between Keith Keogh and Sam Simon. I think was training for that. Sam Simon had lost. It was actually that was a close fight. He just started quicker. First round, he got the better exchanges and probably scored him on that. Second round, I think I started to come out more, but I think he'd just gathered more points, hit me the cleaner shots, and was showed a wee bit more during the exchanges. The first two rounds, and then third round, I'm near sure I go out and just put it on him, which I probably should have done that from the first round. But it is what it is. Sam Simon lost. That was on the 15th of the 10th, 22. Then the next fight after that was the 1st of the 4th, 23. So there's another 6 months, half a year. I know Christmas and stuff was after that. So I don't know if there was just a break in between that or whether I had another injury. I can't remember. I've had loads of injuries to be honest with you. I've been out a lot with injuries, but just in terms of looking at the fights and the dates and stuff I have wrote beside them, I can't tell you off the top of my head whether I wasn't injured in between that or whether it was Christmas and then January and then I was just getting ready to fight for Cage Conflict, the first coming back after Christmas, if you know what I mean. So I don't know if that's what happened there. I actually can't remember. So that was Sam Simon on the 15th of 10th, 22, then Vladimir Stanka, the 1st of the 4th, 23. Um, so it went 4-1, and then after Yogov was 4-1, Callum Connors lost, Keith lost, Sam Simon lost, and Vladimir Stanka lost. So that brought me up to 5-4, which wasn't very good. I was not very happy with. Just losing 4 times in a row. Losing once is bad, but losing 4 times in a row, oh, it's not good. Especially when you train and put a lot of effort and work in. Um, but that was probably the biggest learnings and lessons was while I was losing. It also made me realize like that no matter how much effort and energy that you put into something, that you're never rewarded just because you do something. And I was probably not assuming that I would win, but really wanting to get the win back so much that I had pre-planned the win in my head so much that when it just didn't happen, it was like a bigger hindrance, if you know what I mean. It was hard. After that fourth loss, that was probably the hardest. So it was. Um, just because you don't really know, you don't know why you're losing. Um, and it was good as well because it also, well, especially over the past year, it's made me realize that life, not only within MMA, like training and recovery and making sure your body's good, not only is that important, but making sure that life outside of training and MMA is going well too and up to standard and you're happy and you're still making a wage and you're still able to do things and live. Where during them times I was probably so focused on just trying to get the win back and training that I probably neglected a load of other areas in my life, if you know what I mean. So big learning inside of MMA and outside of MMA and for myself. So the last loss was the 1st of the 4th, 23, and then the fight after that was the 27th of the 8th, 23. It's near a year ago. Near a year ago. So near a year ago from my last fight. Ooh, that's an interesting one. I didn't think it. I didn't think it's been that long. No, it's been like 8 months from I've trained, like, but near a year from a fight. Um, Yeah, it's an interesting one. So the last one I had was against Kieran Bush. He is from England, but he has loads of family over here, and he had a really big support at that fight. He actually had more supporters there than me, which was funny because I was the home. I say it was home. It was up in Temple Patrick Antrim, so I wasn't really the home one, but I was at home and he was coming in from England, and he still had more people there. But that doesn't not that that bothers me, but it's just interesting. He he was he comes from a striking background, Kieran. I think he's the experienced in some Thai and some other striking. I think that might have been his MMA debut, I think. But it was good to get the win. He was a decent opponent in terms of being technical and striking. However, I just thought I was the better fighter. In terms of most of the fights, I think as the better fighter, it just sometimes that doesn't go your way. Um, but Kieran Bush, he was a good fighter. It was good to get the win over him, and I think I showed loads of improvements. The way I fought against Kieran is the way I would have liked to really have fought like 2 or 3 fights previously. Um, but it was good that the hard work was starting to show in that fight, and that I have a good baseline to build off. That was my last fight. I know what I need to work on. I know where I want to go. I know where I want to clean up. And basically, I think the losses has been biggest blessing. Even though losing once isn't good, but losing 4 times in a row, it was sickening. But it was probably it was good for um building off at, if you know what I mean, and where I wanted to go, how I wanted to go about it, and it just helped me refine me as a fighter. So that's all my fights. That's everyone covered, and that's the storyline behind it, the timeline. If anyone has any questions, or if you would like to know anything else, let me know. I am going to go into more detail on the fights, do some breakdowns and stuff, talk about some of the stories, and I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good week and enjoy.